If you asked 49er fans which free agent departure hurt the most, I would imagine that most 49er fans would say Dre Greenlaw. Leaving to the Denver Broncos was a hard one. And I think a lot of people have also asked the question, why didn't the 49ers do more to bring Dre Greenlaw back? Because as we all kind of talk about him, he's kind of like the heart and soul of the defense. Yes, Fred Warner is also a huge element and component to being the heart and soul of the defense as well, but there's just this energy that Dre brought, and I'm sure Fred even fed off of, because when Fred Warner said his goodbyes to Dre Greenlaw, he said there's no 5'4" without 5'7", and those guys just complimented each other so well as linebackers. Well, Adam Schefter revealed that the San Francisco 49ers went as far as trying to flip Dre Greenlaw's decision after he had already been announced as signing with the Denver Broncos. We saw this happen. Eric Kendricks, who had been announced as signing with the 49ers during the legal tampering period, he flipped to the Dallas Cowboys last year, and that created the whole pathway for Devondre Campbell. But it's just fascinating to hear that the 49ers went full court press on Dre Greenlaw, and he still signed with the Denver Broncos. Take a listen to what Schefter had to say right here.
We were last week, Adam, very happy with the pinpoint accuracy of the Denver Broncos and shoring up some things. What are your thoughts on it? Because it looks like they hit a home run here.
I think they killed it. I think they honestly hit free agency just right. Like, it worked out as well as it could have. The Niners were trying to get back Dre Greenlaw, even after Denver had an agreement done with him. They were pushing to get that done. And they were trying to flip his decision in this world that we live in, where, people commit and there are agreements. And the Niners tried to flip Dre Greenlaw back to San Francisco. And I think they were pretty persuasive, but not persuasive enough. And I think Dre Greenlaw stood his ground and kind of stayed with Denver. And Hufanga, when he's been healthy, has been unbelievable. He's been a missile. He's been incredible. And Evan Ingram, same thing. These guys all have had some kind of injury issues. And there's a reason that guys get to free agency to begin with. There's a reason for that. And in San Francisco, they were struggling to pay everybody. So that's part of it. So there's two 49ers. Evan Ingram, Jacksonville didn't deem him worth the price. Denver did.
Well, it's pretty fascinating. I'm always a big fan of kind of, a look behind the curtain, trying to see like what goes on behind the scenes. And this honestly kind of aligns with what I had heard. I had heard months ago that Dre Greenlaw was telling his teammates that he wasn't going to be coming back to the San Francisco 49ers. And I know the first thing drama-wise that got started in the offseason was Dre Greenlaw's wife and Sydney Warner talking about like, oh, we're losing, Fred or Dre and his family to free agency. And that created this whole buzz of like, are we really losing Dre and all of those things. So that was like the first thing that happened. But, from what I had heard, Dre was telling his teammates that he was leaving and he wanted to go be the guy on a defense. He wanted to be in the Fred Warner role. And the problem is not that he didn't love playing with Fred Warner. It's that he could never have sole ownership of being the middle linebacker, having the green dot, calling all the shots, being the main guy, as long as Fred Warner was around, because Fred Warner has earned that right. He's the best middle linebacker in football. And I think there was a part of, Dre kind of wanting to get out of that shadow a little bit and create his own legacy and, go to a new team and be that guy. And so what's fascinating to hear is that, based on the way Schefter's describing it, it sounds like the 49ers made a really competitive push to probably match that contract that Dre was getting from the Denver Broncos. But again, even so, he's still signed with the Denver Broncos, which kind of goes back to what I had heard of him kind of telling everyone on his team that he's like, I'm not coming back. I'm off to a new land that happened to be Colorado. But basically just wanting to start fresh and have his own opportunity to run his own room and do all of those types of things. So I think some 49er fans maybe will have some kind of reassurance knowing that the 49ers didn't just let Dre go. They really tried to bring him back, and they tried to do whatever they could to bring him back, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out. And sometimes, the player and the team want different things. Sometimes the team doesn't want the player, and sometimes the player doesn't want the team. It's just how it works. It's just how it goes. And I know this offseason has been a lot about the 49ers not wanting current players or other players, but this seems like definitely a situation where Dre just wanted a change of scenery and he wanted to go somewhere else. So based on this information, I am really curious to kind of see your guys' reactions. Like, how do you feel about this development? How do you feel hearing that the 49ers really were putting on a full court press to keep him around? Obviously, you had Robert Saleh come back, the coach that was there when he was drafted. And even still, that wasn't enough to pursue or persuade Dre Greenlaw to return. So, with all of that being known now and out there in the open, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you surprised to hear that? Are you surprised that Dre still made that decision? And all that stuff. So, man, crazy times around the San Francisco 49ers. But we'll see what this new era holds. Let me know what you think, again, in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.
Luke Kuechly, we were talking about, Fred Warner, and he goes, man, you can't talk about Fred without talking about Dre. And he compared you.
That's my dog. I love Luke Kuechly.
You can't talk about Fred without Dre. So they got a tandem of dudes that are really good. He reminds me a lot of Thomas Davis.
Yeah.
Just physical edge, attitude, toughness, but a really smart football player.
What's it like, he gave you a ton of praise.
Man, that's crazy.
What's it like, hearing from a guy who should be a Hall of Famer? We'll see.
Oh, he gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
And just like Luke Kuechly, one of them dudes that, man, just like I'm talking about, probably just one of the all-around best linebackers that you're gonna be able to find in the game. Just how smart he was, how he hit, and how, I would say his speed. He was a good runner, could run 4-5 guy. And just, I don't know, man. I used to watch that dude on film, and I just know I can't do some of the stuff that he doing. But I remember it was one play versus the Cowboys, and he faked inside, came right, did something, did some crazy stuff, caught it underneath or something. And I've been knowing him because my favorite duo is Kuechly and Davis. Those are two guys that when I started watching football, because I was a safety, I watched safeties, Honey Badger, all them. But once I got moved to linebacker, Kuechly, Kuechly, Thomas, Quan, and the Buccaneers, because my coach that came from the Buccaneers. So, but Kuechly and Thomas, and to be particular, oh my God, for him to say that though, that's like.
Do you see any similarities in your game with Thomas? Do you see that?
Yeah,
on
for sure.
tape?
Oh yeah. I'm trying to tell you, I watched the, I think it's the Broncos versus Panthers Super Bowl game. I'm trying to think what year it was. But I watched that probably every other night. That's because I was a big fan of their defense. So yeah, that's cool.
Who are you